Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Don Odell's Legends. My name is Art Tipaldi. I'm the editor of Blues Music Magazine, and I'd ask you to check us out at bluesmusicmagazine.com or go to our Facebook page where you can read great profiles of not only traditional musicians who've been at it all their lives, but you can read about some of the hottest new contemporary blues musicians out there. And tonight we have two of the hottest contemporary musicians out there. We have Vanessa Collier doing an acoustic show tonight with the great guitar player Laura Chavez. Laura, welcome to Don Odell's.
Thank you. Thanks
Yeah,
for having us.
yeah. So what's going to happen in tonight's show between you and Vanessa? We know Vanessa is a high-powered performer.
Yeah.
What's the direction of the show tonight?
So it's basically just stripped down versions of songs that off the last couple albums that she did, and then a couple different covers that she doesn't normally do.
Okay. Will it be two guitars, or will she be playing sax and guitar?
Both. So, and I'll play electric for a couple songs, and she plays a resonator, and then there's one where we're both playing acoustic, and then she'll be playing sax while I play acoustic.
So you are one of the most in-demand side people, guitar players out there. I think it's fair to say.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. What do you see your role as a side musician in the band?
Just always sort of playing for the song and for the artist and what needs to be played in that moment, and playing just enough and not too much and not too little, and when it's making sure when it's my little moment to shine that I step out and do that, so that I keep the momentum going and the energy up. That's kind of, again, just sort of playing for the song and for what needs to happen. Yeah,
do you have input sometime? I mean, how much input do you have into the songs and the arrangements of them?
Well, it sort of depends on what, which project it is. Sometimes I just get hired to be a guitar player in a band. Sometimes it's a big, huge band, and I'm just a guitar player amongst horn section and organ and all sorts of things going on. And other times it's like this, and it's acoustic duo type thing. Obviously, I mean, for many years I played with Candy Kane and was sort of her musical partner for those years. So that was more of we wrote all the songs together, we produced the albums together, and worked on the arrangements. And you know, if I'm doing a recording session, I try to feel it out and see if my input might be welcome or not, and I sort of just go as it. Yeah. See how it goes.
Yeah, I'll go as much as you want.
Yeah,
or as
exactly.
Little as you want. Yeah.
Sometimes I'll just keep my mouth shut and just play what needs to be played.
Right.
And
you know, when I went through all the Candy Kane albums that you were part of, that's on Roof Records.
Those were Delta Groove.
Oh, Delta Groove. I'm sorry. Yeah.
It's funny. I met her when she was on Roof, and that's how we got hooked up together.
Yeah.
But we never recorded an album for him.
Right. So of those, there's about 23 songs on those three albums that you're a co-writer on with Candy. And as I read through the liner notes and some of them, Candy would tell the story of where the song came from. How did it work as a co-writer on those? What was your role with Candy?
So various things would happen there. Sometimes she would sing a melody and I'd sort of arrange it into a song or a groove or something like that, and we'd work together on the arrangements and the overall chord progressions and kind of vibe of the song. Other times I would play something and she would take it, and she was really, really good at just coming up with, I mean, she had books and books of poetry and various things that she could tweak into a song within seconds. I mean, she was so prolific that way.
Yes.
And other time, there was one song, I remember it was a song called Invisible Woman, where she'd written a poem, and I looked at it and I took it home and I came back with the song, and that was...
Wow.
Yeah.
How neat. Candy is such a special person to you. How many years were you with her?
9.
Wow. Can you talk a little bit about what she meant to you, some of the lessons that you now see in you that have come from her?
So I think the biggest thing was I'm shy enough now, but she really was instrumental in pushing me out into the spotlight on stage and making sure, I mean, she was determined to sort of make sure everybody knew who I was. And I mean, I think she knew why.
Right.
But
yeah,
I am forever grateful for that, because I could have just been another guitar player that came along and no one would have ever known who I was. But she...
I know in those Delta Groove records it says Candy Kane and Laura Chavez.
It's funny, that was all her idea. I almost fought with her not to do it. I was like, don't do it, it's okay. Like.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about watching her as a band leader and how that's affected you?
So
certainly with women, you know, you always think of the male as the band leader. And what was it like working with Candy?
It was very clear. I mean, it's funny. I work with almost all female band leaders, and it's not planned that way. It just worked out that way.
That's right.
But it was made very clear to me by her, and just watching and seeing the people that I knew had worked with her, things that they said later on after they left. And a female band leader can get away with seemingly a lot less than, you know, if an assertive female band leader is going to be taken a lot differently than an assertive male. And a lot of the stuff that I heard later on, it's like, well, you know, I can think of 10 guys off the top of my head that you'd never say that about. Right. But so just seeing that double standard and experiencing the way that I saw other band members treat her. That was probably the biggest and most difficult lesson from that.
Right.
But she, you know, knew she needed to be on top of everything. She did everything herself. I mean, you know, she's had record labels and booking agents and that, but I mean, she took care of everything. You know, even as she later on struggled with illness and everything, she worked as hard. I mean, I've never seen anybody work so hard. Through so much, and I'm never just her.
Tenacity.
Tenacity, exactly. That's perfect. Yes.
Yeah. You know, we certainly followed her, you know, through her illness and recovery, and then back in the hospital again, and that must have taken a real toll on you, and to be that supportive person. Yeah,
it was pretty difficult. It was very.
But it's also good that you were there.
High stress, and I mean, I wouldn't have had it any other way. I'll never be the same. For good and bad. From that.
You're carrying on that toughest girl kind of thing.
I'm trying.
We tried to get Candy into the studio, I know, here once, and illness reared its ugly head, and that didn't happen. How did you ever get a gig with her? You know, you were with, I think, Laura Price.
Yes. So it kind of all it was funny. I knew Thomas Roof from an album that, well, roundabout way of getting there. So Sue Foley was writing a book called Guitar Woman. She interviewed me and put a compilation out on Roof that featured a song that I played on. And so I'd been in touch with Thomas for a couple years, and Candy was going to be doing the Blues Caravan, which is Roof Records' big review through Europe, and her guitar player was leaving, and she didn't know what to do, and Roof had wanted her to play with someone that they weren't really jiving musically, and Sue was a good friend of hers, and she saw that as an opportunity for me to get out of, break out of Cal. She, I think she really wanted me to break out of California and into, get a chance to go to Europe and everything, and it worked out perfectly with Candy. I don't think any of us ever planned that. The original plan was that I was just going to do that one tour. It was a month long, and then that was it. And she was going to find somebody in San Diego because I was committed up north, and it just, I don't think any of us ever planned for it to be that meaningful of a partnership that lasted so long. And
what was it about your playing that turned her head?
I don't know. I mean, I think that I never overplayed around her. Well, if I did, it was in the space that I was allowed to do that. I wasn't too loud. Guitar was never really her instrument.
Sure.
She really didn't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, she was always trying to find another piano player, but I feel like that was, and I always just kind of play with this honest emotion that's just how I know how to play. It's not the most technical or the most educated way of doing it, but I think that was what it was.
Right.
And that I didn't get in the way of her songs and her messages, and that was the main thing.
Is there something about your guitar that fits the voice of the singer? Is that something that you try to do to make you this? I know Mike Welch talks about Mike Ledbetter, and he says, my playing, I try to play what he sings or complement his vocals with my guitar. Is that something that, as a backing, guitar player, as a guitar player who backs lead singers, is that something that you're after?
I suppose in the way that I'm just after fitting the overall song, and I'm not going to come in with some screaming lead in something that's softer. I don't know. I guess, like I said, just trying to fit the song, and with that comes the singer and the vocal and everything.
Well, if people are watching some of these Don Odell shows, you can go watch Laura play with Vanessa Collier last week, when Vanessa had a full band with horns and backup singers. And the one thing I noticed is it wasn't until the last couple of songs that you really let loose. You were doing just what you said. You were honoring the song, the spirit of the song. But at the end, the last couple of songs, I saw, Laura Chavez really took over that room in there.
I think if it's a song I'm thinking of, it's kind of a guitar.
Yeah.
It's definitely a guitar song.
Yeah. Now you're playing with Matt Hill and Nikki Hill.
Yeah.
How long has that been?
Since early last year.
Okay.
So about a year and a half, a little bit longer.
Yeah. And there's a band now that is built around two guitars.
Yeah.
How does that all work? Because Matt is a over the top.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's partly why I never played with another guitar player when I played with Candy.
Yeah.
I was trying to cover a piano part and a horn line and a guitar line. I was trying to do it all at once without playing too much.
Yeah.
So I didn't know how it was going to work, but our styles are just different enough, and it's been really fun trying to find the parts that complement each other. And it's like, well, what is it that you miss hearing with that part?
Yeah.
That the other guitar player couldn't play.
Yeah.
And it's been really, really fun. Same thing. I mean, the guitar tones are just slightly different. They complement each other, and it's really been a lot of fun.
Right. Do you like recording more? Because I know you're on the Welch Ledbetter CD or a bunch of other CDs, but you don't necessarily tour with those bands. But then you tour with the Nikki Hill band, and now you're out for a week or so, 2 weeks with Vanessa. Which do you like better? Which satisfies you?
I used to have severe studio anxiety, so it's funny that I am now on all these albums. Just had a couple of odd experiences that led to this, and now I really enjoy the creative aspect of recording and building the song and that, but nothing replaces that emotional outlet of playing live.
Yeah.
And I mean that. If that's all I had to do or could do, that would be fine.
Yeah. So a singer, the band leader, they're out there trying to get their thing going. How do you get your thing going? How do you get yourself known? I just, like I said, I mean, I was lucky enough to fall into a situation where, with a very generous band leader who was willing to help me and wanted to help me and almost insisted on helping me even when I didn't. I wanted to be as anonymous as anybody. But
I don't even know that I'm the person to ask, because even though I've had all these amazing opportunities, and I don't even know how I'm so lucky, and it comes to me.
Yeah. I mean, just recently you've been featured in 2 or 3 blues magazines all at the same time, and for this shy little girl over here, it must be like, really, me? But
I know I did 2 of those interviews in one day. That was exhausting.
Yeah. I know. Find somebody else. So, in conclusion, is there a Laura Chavez band or a Laura Chavez album on the horizon? What do you think?
I don't have any plans. It's taken so long to even think about doing it, and it's not going to be something that comes out haphazardly. It's gonna be something I know that I want to put my name on and say this is mine, and I have to figure out exactly what that is.
Yeah. Is that band or album or both?
It just an album. I'm not interested in fronting a band in the least bit. I never really have. I've always been more of a like to collaborate with people. Never wanted to do it all myself. The last thing I want to do is talk into a microphone and. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, your collaborations with other guitar players are certainly, the kinds of things that thrill anybody who's there to see it. Whether it's in Memphis at some of the jams, or now up here with Vanessa, or hanging out at the Bull Run with Ronnie. You've met him a few times?
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. I mean, I follow you on YouTube and everything, and we're grateful to have you here.
Oh, thank you.
And as the story headline in Blues Music Magazine, the last issue says, "Are you hip to Laura Chavez?" You need to get hip to this girl and all the amazing projects she's been part of.